What's up, Vikings faithful? The Purple People Eaters are back, and let me tell you something. What's brewing in Minnesota right now is about to shake the entire NFC to its core. We're talking about moves that could completely transform this defense, and I'm not just throwing around empty hype here. This is the kind of chess move that separates championship teams from pretenders, and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah is about to show the entire league why he's playing 4D chess while everyone else is still learning checkers. Now, before I dive into this bombshell that's gonna have every Vikings fan losing their minds, I need you to smash that like button, because what I'm about to reveal is going to change everything you thought you knew about our secondary. And don't even think about scrolling past without hitting subscribe. Trust me, you're going to want to be here for every single update as this story unfolds. The whispers are getting louder around the Twin Cities, and there's a defensive mastermind move in the works that has all the classic fingerprints of our general manager's genius. We're talking about a player who embodies everything Minnesota looks for: elite athleticism, untapped potential, and that hunger to prove doubters wrong. This isn't just another depth signing. This is the kind of calculated risk that could pay massive dividends when the playoff lights get brightest. But here's where it gets really interesting. While everyone's been sleeping on this opportunity, the Vikings medical staff believes they've cracked the code on something that's been holding back pure raw talent. We're talking about a corner who has the physical tools to match up with the best receivers in the game, but circumstances have kept him from showing the world what he's truly capable of. The pieces are falling into place for what could be the most underrated acquisition of the entire offseason, and it all starts with understanding that sometimes the best diamonds are found in the roughest places. Here's what's about to blow your mind. Minnesota is eyeing a cornerback who stands nearly 6'3" with 34-inch arms. The kind of length that opposing offensive coordinators have nightmares about. Brent isn't just another name on the trade block. He's a walking matchup problem who's been buried in a system that couldn't properly utilize his elite physical gifts. Think about what Richard Sherman did for the Legion of Boom. That's the kind of ceiling we're talking about here. Brent came out of Kansas State as a second-round talent with first-round measurables, and the Vikings analytics department has been circling him like sharks since day one. The 6'2" frame, the 34-inch wingspan, the blazing speed. This is exactly the prototype that Brian Flores dreams about when he's designing his defensive schemes. But here's the part that makes this story even more compelling. Injuries have derailed what should have been a breakout career. A quadriceps injury in 2023 limited him to just 9 games, and then a brutal meniscus and ACL combination knocked him out for 15 games last season. That's the kind of injury history that scares away most teams, but not Minnesota. Not when you have a medical staff that's been working miracles and a front office that specializes in buying low on high upside talent. The proposed trade is absolutely genius in its simplicity. Brent's and a 2026 7th round pick for just a 2026 5th rounder. It's the kind of move that looks like highway robbery when you break down the value. We're talking about acquiring a cornerback with elite physical traits for essentially a day 3 draft pick swap, and the upside is absolutely astronomical. What makes this even more intriguing is how perfectly Brent fits into what the Vikings have been building. They need depth at cornerback, they need length to match up with the division's elite receivers, and they need someone who can step up in press coverage. This kid from Kansas State checks every single box, and his injury history might actually work in Minnesota's favor by keeping his price tag artificially low. The real question isn't whether Brent can play, it's whether he can stay healthy long enough to unleash that elite potential that had scouts drooling during his college days. This is where the story takes another dramatic turn, because while everyone's been focused on the cornerback situation, there's another defensive chess piece that's been generating serious buzz in NFL circles. We're talking about a veteran presence who could completely change the dynamics of Minnesota's pass rush, and the name being whispered around league offices is one that Vikings fans know all too well. Judon, the 4-time Pro Bowl linebacker who terrorized quarterbacks for years in Baltimore and New England, is suddenly available, and the connection to Minnesota runs deeper than most people realize. This isn't just about adding another pass rusher. This is about bringing in a proven warrior who knows what it takes to dominate at the highest level. But here's where it gets complicated. Judon is coming off his worst professional season, posting just 5. 5 sacks with Atlanta, and earning a dismal 43.0 PFF grade that tied him for last place among edge rushers with significant playing time. At 33 years old, there are legitimate questions about whether he's hit that dreaded age cliff that claims so many pass rushers. The Vikings already have their edge rushing foundation in place with Jonathan Greenard and Andrew Van Ginkel, plus they're counting on Dallas Turner to take a major leap in his second season. Adding Judon to the mix could provide valuable veteran leadership and rotational depth, but it could also potentially block Turner's development and eat into the snaps that young players like Bo Richter and Gabe Murphy need to grow. ESPN's Aaron Schatz floated this idea as a way to address Minnesota's depth concerns, arguing that a veteran presence could help stabilize the rotation and provide insurance against injuries. The logic makes sense on paper. Judon still has the technique and football IQ to be effective in limited snaps, and Brian Flores has a track record of maximizing veteran talent in his schemes. However, the risk-reward calculation is tricky here. Judon's 2024 struggles weren't just about age. He looked genuinely lost at times in Atlanta's system, and his pass rush win rate dropped to career low levels. The Vikings have built their recent success on smart investments in players who fit their system, and it's unclear whether a declining veteran fits that model. The real intrigue comes from looking at this through the lens of what Minnesota has been building. They want players who can contribute immediately while also fitting into their long-term vision. Judon might provide short-term stability, but he doesn't solve any fundamental problems or add the kind of upside that typically excites this front office. As we dive deeper into this defensive reconstruction project, there's one more name that's been generating serious buzz, and this one might be the most intriguing of all. The final piece of this defensive puzzle involves a player who represents everything Kwesi Adofo-Mensah has been building toward. A young, talented cornerback who's been criminally underutilized and is about to hit the market at exactly the right time. This isn't just another reclamation project. This is a legitimate difference maker who could transform Minnesota's secondary for years to come. Greg Newsome II, the 25-year-old cornerback who was the 26th overall pick in 2021, has become the most intriguing trade candidate on the market, and the Vikings connection runs deeper than most people realize. When Cleveland drafted Newsome, guess who was part of the Browns front office helping make that decision? That's right, current Vikings GM Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. This is where the story becomes absolutely fascinating, because Newsome isn't just another corner having contract disputes. He's a legitimate top-tier talent who got lost in Cleveland's defensive shuffle and saw his playing time crater to career low levels despite being in his prime. We're talking about a player who had 571 snaps in 2024, his lowest total since his rookie year, and a PFF grade that dropped from consistent 68-70 range to just 52.2. But here's the kicker. That down year might actually be the best thing that could happen to Minnesota. Newsome's frustration with his usage in Cleveland has created a potential trade opportunity that wouldn't normally exist. You don't trade 25-year-old first-round corners who are entering their prime unless something has gone seriously wrong. And in this case, it's not about talent. It's about fit and opportunity. The Northwestern product has all the tools that make Vikings fans salivate. Elite athleticism, incredible closing speed, and the kind of ball skills that create turnovers. In 2023, he had 14 pass breakups, 2 interceptions, and 4 tackles for loss, while allowing just a 76.3 passer rating in coverage. That ranked 17th among 88 cornerbacks with at least 500 snaps. Elite production from a player who's supposedly having down years. What makes this potential move even more compelling is how perfectly Newsome would fit into Brian Flores' defensive philosophy. He's versatile enough to play multiple positions in the secondary, athletic enough to match up with elite receivers, and young enough to be a cornerstone piece for years to come. Paired with Byron Murphy Jr. and Isaiah Rodgers, Minnesota could have one of the most dynamic secondary units in the entire league. The financial aspect is tricky. Newsome's fifth-year option is worth $13.4 million, and the Vikings would need to decide whether to exercise it or work out a long-term extension. But for a player of his caliber and age, that's actually reasonable market value for a CB1 or high-end CB2. The real question is whether Minnesota has the appetite for another significant trade after already making major moves this offseason. They've been relatively quiet on the cornerback market, passing on names like Jair Alexander and Jalen Ramsey, which suggests they might be comfortable with their current group. But if an opportunity to acquire a player of Newsome's caliber presents itself, it's hard to imagine them not at least exploring it. This is the kind of move that could define the next chapter of Vikings football. A young, talented player with elite upside who's available at exactly the right time in his career. Whether it happens or not, the fact that these conversations are even taking place shows just how aggressive Minnesota is willing to be in pursuit of their championship window. So there you have it, Vikings faithful. 3 potential defensive additions that could completely reshape this roster, with each one representing a different philosophy and risk level. From the high upside reclamation project to the veteran depth addition to the legitimate star acquisition, the next few weeks are going to be absolutely crucial for the direction of this franchise. Make sure you're subscribed because this story is far from over, and don't forget to let me know in the comments which of these moves you think would make the biggest impact. The chess match is just getting started, and Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah is about to show the entire league why the Vikings are ready to make some serious noise in 2025.